Maya stood at the doorway, rain dripping from her hair, holding a small duffel bag close to her chest. The street behind her was quiet except for the sound of thunder in the distance. She looked tired, like someone who had been holding herself together for too long. When the door opened, her brother Ethan stood there. For a moment his face softened. "Maya," he said quietly, "you should have called." "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered, her voice shaky. "Just for a few days, until I figure things out." Before Ethan could answer, his wife Lydia appeared behind him. She crossed her arms, her face twisting in irritation the moment she saw Maya. "What is she doing here?" Lydia asked sharply. "She just needs a place to stay," Ethan began. But Lydia cut him off. "Absolutely not. Why is this stupid leech here? Get her out." The words hit Maya like a slap. Her throat tightened, but she didn't argue. She just stood there, frozen in the doorway, feeling the weight of humiliation press down on her. "Lydia, please," Ethan tried to say, his tone low and tense. "It's just for a few days. She lost her job." "I don't care," Lydia snapped. "I'm not having your family's problems in my house. She's always been a burden, and I won't play babysitter to your sister." Maya lowered her eyes, her heart pounding painfully in her chest. She wanted to say something, anything, to defend herself, but she could see the truth in Ethan's silence. He wasn't going to stand up for her. She forced a small smile, though her lips trembled. "It's okay," she whispered. "I understand." "Maya," Ethan started, but she had already stepped back into the rain. Her shoes splashed against the wet pavement as she walked away, her duffel bag growing heavier with each step. Behind her, the door shut quietly. She didn't look back. The rain soaked through her coat, but she barely felt it. Inside she was numb. She told herself not to cry, but a single tear slipped down her cheek anyway. As she reached the end of the street, she whispered softly to herself, the same word she had said moments ago. "Okay." But this time, it sounded more like a wound than a word. We learn Maya used to be the family's pride, smart, hardworking, and full of dreams. When their parents died in a car accident, Maya was only 20, and her younger brother Ethan was 17. Most people expected her to give up her studies to take care of him, but she didn't. She worked during the day, studied at night, and made sure Ethan had everything he needed. She paid his college fees, cooked for him, and never once complained. Everyone said, "Maya is more like a mother than a sister." Ethan often promised her, "One day, I'll repay you for everything." Back then, their bond was unbreakable. But life changed. When Maya was 24, she met Caleb, a charming man who made her feel seen and loved after years of carrying everyone else's burdens. He told her she deserved to relax, to trust someone else for once. Maya believed him. She thought she had finally found someone who would take care of her the way she had taken care of others. At first, things were perfect. Caleb talked about starting a business, and Maya helped him with everything. Her savings, her credit cards, even a small loan under her name. She believed in him. But slowly, the truth showed itself. The business never existed. Caleb spent the money on himself, expensive clothes, dinners, and trips, while Maya struggled to pay bills. By the time she realized how deep the hole was, it was too late. Her savings were gone, her debts were rising, and Caleb had already moved on to someone else. The heartbreak broke more than her heart. It destroyed her confidence. Ethan got married around that time to Lydia, a woman who always wanted things her way. At first, Lydia acted kind to Maya, smiling and calling her sis. But when Maya lost her apartment and asked if she could stay for a few days, Lydia's attitude changed completely. "She needs to fix her own mess," Lydia would tell Ethan. "We're not running a charity." Ethan, caught between love for his wife and loyalty to his sister, began pulling away. His messages grew shorter, his calls less frequent. Maya noticed, but she never complained. She didn't want to cause trouble in his marriage. When Maya lost her job a few weeks later, her company downsized. She had nowhere else to go. Her friends were busy with their own lives, and her landlord had already rented her room to someone else. She packed her few things into a small duffel bag and went to Ethan's house, hoping he'd understand. She didn't go there expecting luxury or sympathy. She just needed a roof over her head for a few nights, a warm meal, a brother's comfort. But instead of warmth, she met rejection. After Lydia threw her out, Maya walked through the rain, wondering where everything had gone wrong. She had always done the right things, worked hard, sacrificed for family, stayed humble. Yet she was the one standing alone in the cold. That night, she slept in a cheap roadside motel using her last bit of cash. The blanket was thin, and the ceiling leaked slightly, but she didn't cry. Somewhere deep inside, she told herself, this isn't the end. I'll find a way back. Meanwhile, inside Ethan's house, Lydia complained for hours. Your sister will ruin us, she said bitterly. People like her never change, always depending on others. Ethan didn't answer. He stared at the rain hitting the window, guilt twisting inside him. He remembered all the nights Maya stayed up late helping him study, all the meals she skipped so he could eat, but he said nothing. In his silence, Lydia's words became truth. Maya had no one left. The brother she had raised like her own child couldn't protect her now. The woman she once welcomed into her family treated her like trash. Yet beneath all the pain, a small spark remained, quiet but alive. Maya wasn't ready to give up. She didn't know how yet, but she would find a way to stand again. Because deep down she knew. She had survived worse. Her ex-boyfriend Caleb has been arrested for fraud, and Maya's name is suddenly all over the news. The police say some of the fake accounts he used were under her name. When she gets the call from the officer that morning, her hands start shaking so badly she almost drops her phone. This must be a mistake, she says, her voice breaking. I didn't know anything about his crimes. Please, I didn't do anything wrong. The officer sounds calm but firm. Miss Patel, we just need you to come in and answer a few questions. It's routine. When the call ends, Maya sits on the edge of the bed in shock. Her whole body feels cold. Caleb had used her name, her trust, to commit his crimes. She remembers how he once asked her to sign some business documents, because he said her credit score was better. She never imagined he'd use them to steal money. Tears fill her eyes. She has nothing left, no job, no home, and now, a criminal case tied to her name. She decides to tell Ethan. Maybe he'll understand. Maybe this time he'll believe her. When she reaches his house, Lydia is in the kitchen making breakfast. The smell of eggs and toast fills the room, but it feels like a stranger's home. Ethan, Maya says quietly, I need to talk to you. It's serious. He looks up from his phone. What happened? Maya takes a deep breath. It's Caleb. He's been arrested. The police called me this morning. They said my name is linked to his case because some accounts were under my name. Lydia freezes, then bursts out laughing. Oh, of course. The innocent little sister again. You really expect us to believe you didn't know? Maya's eyes widen. I swear, Lydia, I didn't. He tricked me. I had no idea what he was doing. Ethan's face turns pale. This is bad, Maya. Really bad. You should call a lawyer. I can't afford one, she says softly. I just need your help. Maybe a place to stay for a few days while I figure things out. Ethan sighs and looks away. Maya, I can't get involved in this. I have my own family to protect. If your name is in a fraud case, it could affect us. Lydia smirks, arms crossed. Exactly. We can't have the police showing up here asking questions. She needs to leave today. Maya stares at them, her heart breaking all over again. Ethan, you really believe I'd do something like this? He doesn't answer. His silence is louder than words. Maya feels her chest tighten as tears roll down her face. I get it, she whispers. I won't bother you again. She walks out, her steps slow but steady. She doesn't look back this time. Outside, the sun is out, but everything feels heavy. She sits on the sidewalk with her duffel bag beside her, trying to think of where to go. Her phone buzzes again. A message from her landlord demanding payment. Another from a bank about overdue bills. She closes her eyes, whispering, I'll fix this somehow. As she sits there, Ethan's elderly neighbor, Mrs. Porter, comes out carrying a small bag of groceries. She notices Maya and walks over gently. Sweetheart, are you all right? You look pale. Maya wipes her tears quickly. I'm fine, Mrs. Porter. Just a rough day. Mrs. Porter studies her for a moment, then says softly, I heard a bit of what happened. I know it's not my business, but I have a spare room at my place. It's small but clean. You can stay there for a while if you'd like. And I could use some help with chores and cleaning. I'll pay you what I can. Maya's eyes fill again, but this time with gratitude. You'd really do that for me? Of course. The old woman smiles kindly. Everyone needs a little kindness when life turns cruel. Maya nods slowly, her voice trembling. Thank you. I won't let you down. That evening, she moves into Mrs. Porter's small but cozy house. As she folds the few clothes she owns, she looks out the window at Ethan's home across the street. The lights are on, laughter faintly drifting through the air. Maya places her hand on the window glass and whispers to herself, I'll fix my life. I'll prove I'm not who they think I am. And for the first time in a long while she means it. Maya begins working long hours cleaning houses and doing small jobs around the neighborhood. She wakes up before sunrise, ties her hair back, and walks from one house to another with a bucket and a small cleaning kit. Her hands grow rough, her back aches, and her clothes often smell of cleaning spray, but she never complains. Mrs. Porter always leaves her a warm breakfast before she heads out. You've got such a good heart, dear, she says kindly. Don't let the world make you hard. Maya smiles and thanks her, even though some mornings she feels like crying. Every penny she earns goes into clearing her debts and saving for a lawyer. But the world isn't kind. Word spreads quickly around town that Maya is the girl involved in a fraud case. Lydia tells anyone who will listen that Maya was a scammer who got caught. She says Maya tricked her ex-boyfriend, not the other way around. At the salon, at the grocery store, even at church, people whisper. Maya feels the stares, the pity, and the judgment. She doesn't fight back. She simply keeps working. She tells herself, if I keep doing the right thing, the truth will come out. Ethan hears the rumors too. Sometimes he sees Maya walking to work with heavy bags and tired eyes, but he never crosses the street to speak to her. Every time he wants to, Lydia stops him. Don't start feeling sorry for her again, Lydia says. She made her bed, let her lie in it. But deep down Ethan's heart aches. He remembers the sister who once stayed up late to help him study, who skipped meals so he could eat. Now guilt eats at him like a quiet shadow. One afternoon, Mrs. Porter invites a local lawyer named Ryan over for tea. He's in his early 30s, kind-faced, and gentle in his tone. As they talk, Mrs. Porter mentions Maya's situation. She's been through a lot, the old woman says softly. And she's innocent, I can tell. Ryan looks at Maya curiously. Is it true your ex-boyfriend used your name in his fraud case? Maya nods nervously. Yes. I didn't know what he was doing. But I want to prove it. I just don't have the money for a lawyer. Ryan studies her face. There's something honest and steady in her eyes. You don't need to pay me, he says after a pause. Let me help you. I can look at your case, see what can be done. Maya is speechless for a moment. You'd really do that? Ryan smiles gently. Everyone deserves a fair chance, Maya. Over the next few weeks, they work together. Maya brings every document she can find. Old bank statements, messages, and emails from Caleb. Ryan goes through them carefully. One evening he looks up suddenly, his brow furrowed. Maya, he says slowly. This signature here, it isn't yours, is it? Maya leans closer and gasps. The signature looks almost like hers, but the writing is off. No, she whispers. That's not me. He forged it. Ryan nods firmly. Then that's our proof. Caleb didn't just use your name. He faked your signature. This changes everything. For the first time in months, Maya feels a small spark of hope. She thanks Ryan with tears in her eyes. You don't know what this means to me. Don't thank me yet, he replies kindly. We're just getting started. Meanwhile, Ethan's life is slowly falling apart. Lydia has become more controlling than ever, questioning his every move, checking his phone, and yelling if he so much as mentions Maya's name. Their fights grow louder, their dinners colder. You're defending her again, Lydia shouts one night. After everything she's done to embarrass us. Ethan slams his hand on the table. She's my sister, Lydia. And you've turned everyone against her without proof. Proof? Lydia sneers. Everyone knows she's guilty. And if you want to join her, go ahead. Ethan looks at her, finally seeing the person she truly is. Cold, selfish, and cruel. Days later, Maya runs into them by chance at the grocery store. She's buying bread and milk when she hears Lydia's voice behind her. Well, if it isn't our little celebrity, Lydia says loudly. How's life treating you, Maya? Still scrubbing floors. People nearby turn to look. Ethan lowers his eyes, clearly uncomfortable. Maya stands still, holding her bag tightly. Her heart beats fast, but her voice is calm. I'm doing fine, Lydia. Hard work never hurt anyone. Lydia smirks. Oh please. You should have thought about work before scamming people. Maya takes a slow breath. Then she looks Lydia in the eye and says softly but clearly, "Thank you." Lydia frowns. For what? Thank you for teaching me who I can't depend on, Maya replies. The entire store falls silent. A few people exchange uneasy looks. Lydia's smirk fades, her face turning red. Ethan says nothing, but his eyes glisten with shame. Maya gives him a small, forgiving smile before walking away. She doesn't rush. She doesn't cry. She simply leaves with quiet strength. Outside, the sunlight feels warm on her skin. For the first time in a long while, she doesn't feel weak. She feels free. Inside the store, Lydia's voice trembles with anger as she mutters, "How dare she talk to me like that?" But everyone around her can see the truth. The woman who once humiliated Maya now looks small and exposed. And as Maya walks down the street, head held high, it's clear that her strength no longer comes from anyone else. It comes from within. Months later, Maya's case finally reaches court. The room is packed. Reporters, lawyers, and curious onlookers fill every seat. Maya sits quietly beside Ryan, her hands folded in her lap. She's nervous, but there's a calmness in her eyes. She has waited months for this moment, to finally clear her name. Caleb is brought in wearing handcuffs. He looks thinner, but his arrogant smirk hasn't changed. When his eyes meet Maya's, she quickly looks away. She refuses to let him see her fear. The hearing begins. Ryan stands confidently, showing documents, statements, and emails that prove Maya's innocence. My client, he says firmly, had no knowledge of Caleb's crimes. In fact, she was one of his victims. He shows the forged signatures, the fake business forms, and the bank transfers made without Maya's consent. The judge studies the papers carefully. Caleb's lawyer tries to argue, but every word sounds weaker as the truth comes out. When Ryan presents Caleb's text messages bragging to his friends about using Maya's credit, the courtroom gasps. Caleb lowers his head, his smirk gone. Finally, the judge says, "The evidence is clear. Maya Patel is innocent of all charges." Maya lets out a quiet breath she didn't realize she was holding. Her shoulders tremble with relief. Ryan places a comforting hand on hers. "You did it," he whispers. But just as the judge begins to wrap up the case, the prosecutor stands. "Your Honor, before we close, there's another matter that came to light during the investigation." Everyone looks confused, including Maya. The prosecutor holds up a paper. A bank record shows that funds from Caleb's company were transferred to an account belonging to Lydia Bennett, Mrs. Lydia Bennett, the wife of Ethan Bennett. The courtroom falls silent. Ethan's head snaps toward Lydia. "What?" he says, stunned. Lydia's face drains of color. "That's not true," she says quickly. "I don't know what this is about." But the prosecutor continues. It appears Mrs. Bennett received 3 payments totaling $25,000 over several months. These transfers came directly from Caleb's business accounts, the same ones used for his fraud. The audience murmurs in shock. Ethan's hands shake. "Lydia," he whispers, his voice breaking. "You told me you didn't even know Caleb." Lydia stands abruptly. I didn't. I thought it was an investment." "He said it was a private deal for your business, Ethan." Ethan stares at her in disbelief. "You took money from him? You worked with him behind my back." Lydia looks around desperately. "He said it would help us. He said Maya wouldn't get caught." The courtroom gasps again. Maya's eyes widen. "You knew," she says softly. Lydia realizes what she said and covers her mouth. But it's too late. The damage is done. The judge bangs his gavel. "Order in the court." Ryan steps forward calmly. "Your Honor, this confirms that not only was my client framed by Caleb, but also manipulated and betrayed by her own family member through association." Ethan sinks into his seat, devastated. His world is collapsing in front of everyone. Lydia tries to reach for him, but he pulls away. "Don't touch me," he says quietly. "You destroyed everything." Tears stream down Lydia's face. "I didn't mean to, I thought." But no one is listening anymore. The judge turns to Maya. "Miss Patel, given the circumstances, you are free of all charges. Do you wish to press further legal action against the accused?" The entire room waits for her answer. Maya looks at Caleb, then at Lydia, who stands shaking, mascara running down her cheeks. Ethan looks broken, unable to even lift his head. Maya's voice is soft but steady. No, Your Honor. I don't want revenge. I just want my life back. The judge nods. Then the case is closed. The sound of the gavel echoes through the courtroom. As people begin to leave, Maya stands slowly. Her eyes meet Ethan's. For a long moment they say nothing. Then she gives him a small, sad smile. Not of anger, but of understanding. Ethan whispers, I'm sorry. Maya nods gently. I know. Outside the courthouse, Ryan walks beside her. The sky is cloudy, but for the first time in a long while, Maya feels light. She's free. Free from Caleb's lies, from Lydia's cruelty, and from the shadow of her past. But inside, she doesn't feel joy. Only quiet sorrow for what her brother has lost. As she steps into the sunlight, she closes her eyes and whispers, it's over. And for the first time, it truly is. Ethan divorces Lydia soon after the court case. The truth about her lies and greed destroys their marriage completely. He moves out of the house, broken and full of regret. For the first time, he understands how deeply he hurt his sister. Meanwhile, Maya begins to rebuild her life, step by step. With Ryan's help, she gets a job as an assistant at a small legal firm. The work is hard, but she enjoys it. Every paycheck feels like proof that she's standing on her own 2 feet again. She rents a small apartment near Mrs. Porter's house, simple but peaceful. Maya also keeps helping Mrs. Porter, running errands and sharing tea after work. The older woman reminds her that kindness still exists in the world. Slowly, Maya starts to smile again. One evening, Ethan shows up at her door. He looks thinner, tired and ashamed. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. Then he says softly, Maya, I failed you when you needed me most. I chose comfort over family. I'm sorry. Maya listens quietly. Her eyes fill with tears, but her voice stays calm. I forgive you, Ethan, she says. But I've learned something important. Love shouldn't mean rescuing someone who won't stand up for you. Ethan nods, understanding that forgiveness doesn't mean things will go back to the way they were. He leaves with peace in his heart, knowing Maya will be fine. In the weeks that follow, Maya starts volunteering at a local women's center, helping others who went through financial abuse like she did. She teaches them how to open accounts, read contracts, and protect themselves from manipulation. Each story she hears reminds her how far she's come, from broken and lost to strong and steady. She no longer needs validation from anyone. Her strength comes from within, from surviving everything that tried to break her. One morning, as Maya walks to work, the sun shines gently on her face. She takes a deep breath and smiles to herself. She isn't the same woman who once begged for help at her brother's door. She's someone new, wiser, freer, and finally at peace. Months later, Maya walks through her old neighborhood after work. The air feels calm, the trees full of new leaves. As she passes by Ethan's old house, she stops. The place looks different now, freshly painted, a new family living inside. Lydia is gone, and the house has been sold. Maya stands on the sidewalk, looking at the front porch where she once stood, begging her brother to believe her. She remembers the cold night, the harsh words, and how small she felt when Lydia shut the door in her face. But now that memory doesn't hurt the same way. It feels distant, like an old wound that has finally healed. She closes her eyes for a moment, then smiles softly and whispers, okay. This time, her voice is peaceful. The same word that once meant surrender now means freedom. She adjusts the strap of her handbag and turns away from the house. As she walks down the street, the setting sun paints everything in gold. There's no bitterness in her heart, only quiet strength. Maya knows she has no mansion, no luxury, but she has something far greater. Self-respect, peace, and the courage to start over. At the corner, she sees Mrs. Porter waiting with a small wave. Maya waves back, her smile warm and real. Then she keeps walking, her steps steady and light. The camera lingers for a moment. Maya walking into the sunlight, carrying nothing but her handbag, and her dignity. Fade out. Hey friends, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.